Hello, welcome to another Battle of the Port Remastered. This time we are remastering Data East's 1988 arcade hit, RoboCop. Actually, the game license was bought by the purveyors of shitty games, Ocean, for reportedly measly £20,000. Then it was sub-licensed to Data East by Ocean Software. Data East and Ocean worked in conjunction with each other to release games for the arcade and home computers respectively, with the home computer versions translating from selections that Data East had shown Ocean from early unfinished builds of the game, which Ocean then had to expand upon. RoboCop was a commercial success in the arcades. In Japan, Games Machine listed RoboCop on their February 1st, 1989 issue as being the second most successful arcade game of the month, and it reached number 2 on Japan's monthly Game Machine arcade charts. The idea of the game is very simple. You control RoboCop, starting with just a punch to take out the bad guys. Robo soon decides that something more substantial is required, whipping out his trusty Auto 9 gun. RoboCop can also pick up the amazing Cobra assault cannon for some serious firepower. Of course, just like the movie, Robo also needs to keep his energy up by consuming baby food that can be found dotted around the levels. Back in the day, RoboCop in the arcades was amazing. Just hearing RoboCop's voice coming out of the arcade cabinet was an instant attraction that would draw you in. I doubt younger players would understand the sounds of classic arcades, but any of you in your 40s and older most certainly will.
Serve the public trust. Protect the innocent. Uphold the law.
The first port we are taking a look at was apparently developed by one man, Peter Johnson. Yep, he is credited for programming, graphics and music. So with that in mind, we can't be too hard on this game, despite it playing in a window that in itself doesn't fill the screen even in NTSC mode. This version of the game plays quite a bit slower than the arcade, and it must be mentioned that the collision detection is wildly off. A bike can jump over you and clearly not touch you, yet you are still damaged, for example. As well as following the arcade levels, this Amiga version adds in a few extras, such as protecting the woman in the alleyway and a Face ID section that were not present in the arcade game. As far as arcade ports go on the Amiga, this isn't too bad, but the dodgy collision detection and the stupid hold down then up to jump certainly don't do the game any favours. Atari ST time now with yet another version by Peter Johnson, and yes, it's basically identical to the Amiga version, so everything I said about that version also applies here. The only real noticeable difference is that the audio is a lot weaker on this ST version.
protect the innocent, uphold the law.
Now this is a surprise. The ZX Spectrum version has better audio than the Atari ST. It's also the first version to feature the famous title music by Jonathan Dunn. But we'll get onto that later when we take a look at the Game Boy version of the game. So how is the ZX Spectrum port of RoboCop? Well, it does play quite differently to the arcade, Amiga and ST versions in that you enter the bonus rounds mid-level. This actually works quite well. Unfortunately, the game also has a major flaw in that when RoboCop is hit, he freezes for way too long. This not only breaks the momentum of the game, but also leaves you open to other attacks. Add in the fact that there is no continue and you have one very difficult game.
Serve the public trust. Protect the innocent, uphold the law.
Next up is the Amstrad CPC version, which is the same as the ZX Spectrum, but now running a bit faster and with a whole load of colour added to it. Just like the ZX Spectrum version, you can run out of weapon ammunition, which is a real downer in terms of gameplay, as trying to knock out the enemies with punches isn't as simple as it should be, especially the bikers. Following on from the Amstrad comes the Commodore 64 version, which once again is the same game, but now RoboCop can jump. I don't believe he could jump in the Speccy or Amstrad versions, or if he could, it sure wasn't obvious. However, this C64 version was obviously rushed. There is so much wrong with it, from the over-the-top difficulty, next to impossible hostage rescue bonus mission, and the infamous level 7 that is completely bugged out, making it impossible to reach levels 8 and 9. This game was released as nothing more than a cash grab. Ocean knew it had a broken level, but instead of fixing it, they just made the game so bloody difficult that it was impossible to reach level 7. These days, there's a patch that fixes level 7, but believe me, it's not even worth bothering with. Unlike the other home ports, this Apple II version was done by Quicksilver Software. And as we all know, Quicksilver Software make a load of crap, with this version of RoboCop being no exception. There's so much wrong with this version of the game, from the screen-by-screen scrolling, sluggish controls, and unavoidable enemies. It's clearly based upon the arcade game, but fails to bring the thrills to the home. title theme of the Ocean Software versions, composed by Jonathan Dann, has become well known for its serene, calm tune, which heavily contrasted the tone of both the actual game and the source material. The version of the theme heard in the Game Boy port was later licensed by European kitchen appliance company Ariston for use in a series of TV adverts. As for the game, well, it's too difficult for its own good. This could have been a great version of Robocop on the move, but it's ruined by cramming the screen full of unavoidable enemies. This is very poor game design because no matter how you play, you will never be able to kill everything without taking damage yourself. There are two versions of Robocop for DOS, with this one apparently being developed by Astros Productions for the European market, and it's total shit. It's based upon Ocean's 8-bit home computer versions of the game, but now with much more poorly planned enemies. Just look at this! I spawned back into an area only to be bombarded with enemy fire. The whole game is like this. It plays like crap, looks like crap, and sounds like crap. Avoid. Quicksilver Software are back with another port, this time for MS-DOS and the US market. Unlike the Astros Productions version, this follows the arcade game more closely and can be played in either CGA or EGA. As you can see, we're playing in EGA mode. Unfortunately, this is also pretty dire, just like the Apple II version Quicksilver were also involved with. Best to avoid Robocop altogether on DOS. Sadly, the MSX got a port, and I say sadly because it's a Western MSX port, which means, yep, you guessed it, it's a piss poor ZX Spectrum port. Yep, this has all the same issues as the ZX Spectrum game, but now with added speed inconsistencies. Famicom or NES also got a port of Robocop from Data East. However, the programming was handled by Sakata SAS Corporation, a company still around today and known for making shovelware in my opinion. Sadly, their website doesn't list anything further back than the early 2000s. So how is this version of Robocop? Meh, it's okay. The game is kind of its own thing. It doesn't follow the arcade or the home micro versions, but does contain elements of those games. The lower portion of the screen contains your useful information. The left side shows your energy level and your power level. Below that is your score. Your currently selected weapon is in the center, followed by your ammo count and maximum ammo. You can switch between weapons by pressing either up or down while the game is paused. The 4 boxes on the right side are your function indicators. One of the main mechanics in the game is the connection between the energy and power meters. The energy meter corresponds to your battery, while your power meter is more like your health meter. When you take damage from your enemies, it always drains your energy meter a little bit. Some enemies also deal damage that affects your power meter more drastically. Your energy slowly drains away as you play, acting like a timer. You die when either meter is depleted, so you need to manage both as you play. This isn't a bad game, but if you're looking for the port of the arcade, you will be disappointed. Here's a surprise! The Tandy Coco received a port of the NES game. How obscure is that? It's pretty much the same, but much more ugly and sounds terrible.
Thank you.
And let's finish up with this unofficial Robocop game for the Korean Master System, known as the Game Boy. This was published by Seiko in 1992. Apparently it's a port of the NES's Robocop 2, although you'd be hard pushed to know. The game runs at a very odd frame rate, with the character moving at a different rate to the background, it would seem. You can pick up various weapons and orbs. Get enough of these orbs and you'll be granted with an extra bit of energy to your life bar. This game is a complete mess. Amazing what crap some people would put up playing with in the past. By the way, this was also released on the MSX in Korea. And let's take a look at all those versions of Robocop running side by side.